I've got Lennie, one of our systemologists. He's a systems devotee. He's a little bit of like royalty around here at Systemology because he is in the Systemology book. And he mastered this process that I'm going to walk you through. And I thought, who better to explain a little bit about how it works than the man himself. So, Den, if you're available, I'm just going to stop the screen share. Maybe if you could just start off by sort of introducing yourself and tell us a little bit about the work that you do, and then we can kind of dig in a bit deeper about how you've built out your virtual team.
Sure. Thanks, Dave. Thanks everyone for having me here today. I guess well, first of all, my background was as a filmmaker, cinematographer, producer in film and TV for 25 years. Started online businesses in 2009, and we built various businesses selling information on DVDs and then downloads, and it evolved into really me leaving the whole video production thing behind and running an online business, and I have done that since about 2011. So I think this is about our full time. I think our 13th year in business. Up until we relocated from in the UK to Australia in 2015. Started the business again. Met Dave shortly after, and at that time, I was doing everything myself. I was a true solopreneur, and we were doing a reasonable income, but I was terrified of hiring people because I just had such fear of everything that could go wrong. And I'm a control freak. So I can do something in 5 minutes that it would take me an hour to teach someone how to do. So I just had that kind of, I guess, fairly typical entrepreneurial gusto that said, I'll just do it myself because it'll be quicker. But I was starting to burn out. And yes, we were making a decent revenue and decent profit, but I was doing all the work. And I realized that around about 2015, I realized our income was plateauing. And I was hitting the same revenue 2013, 2014, 2015, almost identically, plus or minus 10 grand. And I'm like, I can't physically do any more work here. So, like, at some point, something's got to give. And then I met Dave. And then I met Dave because he had built a video production company, and he doesn't really know how to switch on a camera. I mean, he does now, but he, in his words, he wasn't from the video background, but he was from a process background, and he was able to build a video production company called Melbourne Video Production and crew it up, and then he sold that business. And I was like, I need to talk to this guy because like he knows something that I don't. We started chatting, we became great friends. I just sort of immersed myself in systems. And I guess here we are, 2023. I actually only have one full-time virtual assistant, but Milka's been with me for 3 years. And I mean, she just handles like most of the back end of the business. And I think I speak to her on Zoom like once every 6 weeks. We're so dialed into the system now. We're so dialed into her operational prowess that we talk on Slack every single day, but we rarely have a conversation in person, and it suits her and it suits me. She loves being left alone, and I love not having to micromanage anyone. And she just looks after so much back end of the business. But now we're at a point where we're actually offering some services. So when we do systemology clients, she builds out all of the systems. I just do the call, pass the Zoom calls to her, and she just does everything else. So yeah, I mean, systemology has been a part of my life probably since about 2016, and it's in its earlier iterations. And in fact, David and I did a workshop, I think back in 2016, 2017, maybe 2018. That is still a core part of my training. I run a mastermind now and a training program for videographers in how to build their business. And that 1 day event that we recorded back then is still a core part of our systems training. So I'm a very systems driven business owner, entrepreneur with a small e. But in the video space we're in, I work with creative people. I'm a creative person, and I have learned how to deploy systems and structure because I believe systems and structure set you free, and I can actually be more creative with systems and structure than I was prior to that, trying to do everything myself and just, I guess, what's the phrase I use? Brute force my way through running a business. So
What I
that gives you
love
a bit of a background.
Yeah, what I love about Den's story, and I think we'll need to do another deep dive video that we can share with you guys, because there's so many lessons in what Den has done. Firstly, starting off as a solo person and his first hire being an offshore assistant. Then he got that team member skilled up to effectively become his systems champion. And then once the team member understood and documented some of those process, was then able to take some of that off his plate, and now enables Den to work on the highest value tasks. I suppose just one final question for you, Den. I'm just wondering, like, if you look back now and you could speak to a younger Den, if you have any advice, or I don't know, if you can kind of help someone get over that first hurdle, because I know, I've been doing it for a long time, so it's hard to remember some of those reservations and concerns that you have when you're just getting started.
There's a very real fear. It's a tangible, real, terrifying fear of hiring someone, putting trust in someone you don't know, and there being a distance. And there's always a risk in your mind that it won't work out. It might go wrong. And as Dave mentioned at the beginning of the call, that is true whether you hire someone. I hired someone physically in my office, and they were a contractor for 3 months video editing. I brought them on staff. They were amazing for 3 months as a contractor. I brought them on staff, went on a holiday for a week, and while I was away, they just messed around and didn't really do any work. And that was someone physically in the room. And I ended up actually terminating their contract for another reason, that they did breach trust somewhere. I have not found that in my experience, when you deploy a framework like Systemology as part of your virtual assistant hiring process, there's that you remove some of the risk by having a tried and tested framework in place. And I have found that I've worked with 3 VAs now, and for the most part, it's been an amazing experience. And I say the most part because when it's not a good experience, it's because of something I'm not doing. And there's one thing that's really important, is when you hire offshore talent, is to treat them exactly the same as if they were someone sitting in your office. Never think of them as lower cost labor, therefore they're not. They will come back at you at tenfold, and the loyalty will be phenomenal. And I've been working with Milka for 3 years now, and she's like part of the family. So the thing that I would leave you with at this point, because I know we're short time, is when I brought someone in, I just gave them the systemology training that exists in System Hub for training your teams on how to make systems, and that was their first couple of weeks, and then we built from there. So I think the key here is to have the framework and follow someone who's done it before, but also just trust the process and trust yourself. Because if you treat people with respect, 99.9% of the time, it'll come back at you. There's always anomalies, but those anomalies exist if you hire someone who's sitting next to you in an office. And my experience has been, really, really phenomenal with working with VAs. But the key has been, my secret weapon has been having System Hub and Systemology as a framework to then deploy into whichever team we work with. And just one last thing, we have team that, where I worked with a guy called John for nearly 2 years, and he moved to another Pacific island, which meant the time zones just didn't work, and we couldn't continue working together for the only reason that he was on a different time zone, like a different date. But when we brought Milka in, he had done such a good job with the systems that the systems then helped train Milka. And when we bring other people in, the systems are already there to deploy and train other members of the team. So the teams that we hire, one of their responsibilities is to maintain the systems. And so when someone new comes in, they're the ones that train. And so if someone like me, who's a control freak, who doesn't really want to spend time managing people, I don't have to. The systems do the heavy lifting, and the framework that Systemology provides, and System Hub, and all the training that exists there, means that it's easy. It's really easy, it's simple, and it's fun.
I hope you enjoyed that clip. Just a heads up, it was a snippet taken from the Business Systems Accelerator program, which is the world's first training for systems champions to help you build a systems-driven organization. If you'd like to find out more about the program, head over to systemology.com/BSA, and I'll see you in the next video.